What's up guys, welcome back to another Paladins video. So while the PTS was up, I went and tried Maeve out like I said I was going to, so I could see if I was overreacting to her nerfs or not. I also played her a bit today since OB45 did go up on the live client this morning, so go download that if you haven't. Now I went in thinking that I wasn't overreacting, and it turns out that I wasn't, so I'm sad. The nerfs Maeve received are very impactful to her character, too impactful unfortunately. Now in my last video I said that these nerfs were a product of the part of the community that doesn't know how to deal with her, whining and complaining everywhere they could about her until she was nerfed. While I do still firmly believe that, I do apologize for putting it how I did. I know it came off as a bit mean to some. However, it's still very true that Maeve receiving multiple nerfs is a result of feedback being given to high-res by players who just didn't know how to deal with her. Let's talk about how Maeve performs for a bit. So Maeve is a character that could decimate players at the lower end of the skill ladder with relative ease. So yeah, she was a bit OP there and needed an adjustment to round her off. The reason she was a bit OP there is because the lower you go down said skill ladder, the more you see players with less awareness, game knowledge, and aiming ability. These three things are very important when it comes to dealing with Maeve. As you start to go higher up the skill ladder, like let's say starting to get matched against average level players and above, Maeve becomes less and less of a problem because more and more people know how to deal with her. So she felt much more balanced to those kind of players. For example, I have a friend that I was playing with. He doesn't play the game much and was still relatively new to it. He was playing a lot of Kinessa and he absolutely hated Maeve with a passion. He had the aim skill required to hit her, but lacked the game knowledge of how to deal with her when she advanced and jumped on him. So to him, Maeve felt pretty strong. Now let's use me as an example. I'm no super good player, I'm hella average, but I do have the knowledge, awareness, and aim to deal with her across multiple characters. Maeve can't get the jump on me easily because if she tries to prowl up to me, I know that there's a distinct, loud sound that plays when she's using the ability. So as long as I stay alert and aware, I'll always hear it and know when she's coming. Then depending on the character I'm playing, I could use my knowledge of how to counter her and back it up with the ability to hit her. The only times I've died to Maeves were because I wasn't paying attention, I messed up on my shots, or I got teamed up on. Practically every character has a way to take her on, or at the very least get away from her. For example, Victor has his nade, and I've played against Victors who always do this when I'm playing Maeve. They hear me prowling up, so they cook their nade and throw it where I'm gonna come from. If they're able to land it, I either have to leave or die because I'd be starting the fight at a big health disadvantage. Victor's legendary card that gives him bonus hipfire damage also helps him out as well, since it is super easy to hit somebody who's jumping on you with hipfire and it does a ton of damage. A lot of the legendary cards actually did give new ways to counter Maeve. Greater slow on mines with Kinessa, rooting on Grover, just to name a few. Anyway, to name off a few more examples, with Shaolin, you could position yourself by walls or objects, so when Maeve tries to get the jump on you, you hit her with an impaler arrow, stun her, and take her out super easily from there. Cassie can roll away when Maeve tries to jump on her and get off that bonus damage arrow, then two more after that for an easy kill. Cassie, in my opinion, is one of the hardest counters to Maeve. Now, I'm not going to go over how every character can take on Maeve. If I do that, it's going to be in a separate video, but if they don't mess with these nerfs, then I don't think I'm going to have to because it'll be pretty easy to deal with her anyway for anybody. If you want to know how with a specific character though, feel free to ask in the comments. So as Maeve stands with the nerfs, she's gone from being able to decimate lower skilled players to just being an okay pick against them. However, against anyone else, she really isn't all that great. Every other flank can pull off the role way better and easier, which is a huge problem. When I was playing on the PTS, I was playing against some pretty experienced players and Maeve just wasn't cutting it. They all already knew how to deal with Maeve, and with her being so much weaker, it was a walk in the park for them. Then I go and hop on Evie or Buck or Andro and have a much better time because those characters still keep their worth when facing more knowledgeable and skilled players. Right now with these nerfs, Maeve is in the same situation Skye was in for a long time. Skye was really strong against weaker players, so they nerfed her a few times pretty considerably. For months, she pretty much stayed unusable against anything above the lower skill level. She's pretty okay now. That's only because they gave her a legendary card that resets her cooldowns on kill, but even that doesn't really make her all that worth it at higher levels of play, like in competitive and most definitely not esports. You practically never ever see her there. They've simply gone and nerfed Maeve far too much for her to be in a healthy position in the game, and hopefully they remedy this soon and don't take months to give her a boost like they did with Skye. So what could they do? Well, they can keep the 9 lives heal on the Artful Dodger card. That makes the card a very viable option and helps to give Maeve a meaningful choice while also turning her base kit down a bit. Before this nerf, there was practically no reason to not pick the Pounce Reset card. Now it's more of a toss-up, sorta. It's definitely closer. Since they did nerf Pounce, there's less of a reason to pick up the Pounce Legendary over the 9 lives one though. The damage nerf for Pounce can stay. It doesn't really hurt her that much, and it brings the total damage of her burst combo down from 2,400 to 2,300. So it's closer to the damage of 2 Eevee shots after a blink. However, when it comes to the range nerf on Pounce, that needs to be reverted. It makes Pounce considerably weaker, and while the 20 unit range nerf may not sound like much, it actually is a pretty big deal when in game. Then we have Prowl. Prowl was a very balanced movie. Then we have Prowl, which was a really balanced movement ability. It gave her high mobility, but at the cost of being easy to hear and see coming. Since it has such a loud and distinct sound while activating, it also makes you glow pink. So the cons balanced out the pros of this ability. Now, however, it has much more cons than pros. There's the sound, the glowing, the high cooldown, and the fact that every other flank's movement abilities are better since Prowl is now slower. The other flank's movement abilities can just cover more ground more reliably and safely. There's also the fact that all the other flanks can use their movement abilities much more often, especially with certain legendary cards. I'm pretty sure they all have one for it. Yeah, they do. Over the Moon, Bounce House, the Nether Step 1, and of course Sky resetting a cooldown on kill. She can basically be in hidden all the time if she really wanted to. 9 lives may reset the cooldown, but you still end up using Maeve's Prowl much less often than any other flank's movement ability, even with that being taken into account. On top of all that, a big part of Maeve's fun factor was her movement, and now that it's nerfed so heavily, it makes her feel much less fun. In my opinion, Maeve was one of the funnest characters to be added to the game in a while. They really did a fantastic job putting her together. Now it feels like they took this piece of art and splattered paint all over it. Hi-Rez just really dropped the ball here with Maeve's nerfs, but it's not too late. They can still go back and do this right by putting her in a healthier spot for all levels of play and keeping her stellar fun factor relatively the same as it was before. So please, Hi-Rez, take another look at the Maeve nerfs and do what's really best for the overall health of the character and the game in OB46. Players are not going to grow and get better if characters are nerfed just because they don't know how to deal with them. We should be encouraging people to seek out methods to take on these problematic characters instead of hand-holding them and making it easier on them and taking the character out of multiple other levels of play entirely. Plus, if Lawman really is as OP as he sounds, having all the flanks at good strength to take him on would be pretty nice. What do you guys think? Do you think the Maeve nerfs were overkill? Would you like to see further adjustments to her? Let me know in the comments below. All opinions are welcome. I know a few of you out there love the Maeve nerfs, and I hate you! No, I don't. You're still pretty great. And that's pretty much it, guys. I want to thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye!